Welcome back to another Odd Pal video. Yesterday, my girl and I, we went downtown Vancouver to this restaurant called Coast for their happy hour menu. We had some beef tartare, we had oysters. The oysters are huge, by the way. If you guys haven't tried oyster yet this summer, make sure to go give them a try. I think they should be pretty consistently big here on the West Coast, but maybe they come from the East Coast or somewhere else. So just give it a try. Maybe you can have some luck if you're from Toronto, New York, or other eastern parts of Northern America. I don't know about outside of North America, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm absolutely sweating. It's so hot right now. But we had 20 minutes left to our parking meter, and so we decided to go stop by Panerai. Now, I don't cover a lot of Panerai on my channel. In fact, this is probably the first Panerai video that I'm doing because I always saw it as this big macho Italian's watch. And you know, me being as scrawny as I am, by the way, wearing the Black Bay 58 here, it just never fit me. But now that I'm starting to put on a few pounds, a little bit of muscles, more so fat, it's starting to resonate with me a little more. Like, I get the attraction to it. It's a very unique oyster, not oyster. I keep wanting to refer to Rolex and Tudor. It's a very unique style case. It's a cushion case. And the reason why I mention oyster is because if you guys don't know about Panerai's history, the brand first started in 1935. And it started out white labeling Rolex watches for the Italian military. And that ran between 1935 to 1970, by then which the Italian military, probably because of budget cuts and also Panerai's weren't meeting their standard specifications as much, the relationship was discontinued between Panerai and the Italian military. Now, since Panerai was so tied in fact, I think they supplied all of their watches to the Italian military up to this point. Because they didn't get any more orders, they have shut down as a brand altogether. And that was until 1993 when the Richemont Group came along and bought up all the rights to Panerai, and they gave it a complete makeover, with the exception that they did not revise their design, which was an amazing decision on their part because all the Panerais you see today are original from the Panerai of yesteryear. And that includes the radial mirror that had the thinner lugs. You also have the Luminor, which is my personal favorite lineup. That's with the thicker lugs and the very, very characteristic crown guard. You also have Luminor Dew, which is a more recent lineup that they made. They only have 50 meters of water resistance. I think that's like their defining trait or defining weakness. But the crown guards are still the same, and the cushion case aren't as cushioned anymore. It's not as big of a profile. You also have the Luminor Submersible, which also has the bezel, the rotating bezel on top of it. And to my knowledge, that's all the lineups that they have. If I'm missing any, I'll throw it up on the screen here. Anyways, we went inside the Panerai Boutique. We were greeted by the sales manager. She was super nice. I think her name was Sanaz. Make sure to ask for her. She is absolutely amazing. She's very knowledgeable about the brand. She asked me what brings us in here, and I was like, yeah, you know, can't really tell her that. I got 20 minutes to kill. So I told her, I was like, hey, I was here last year. I was served by someone different, and there was this waffle dial GMT that I really liked. I didn't remember the exact reference number back then, but I know now it is the PAM01372, if I'm not mistaken. It's got this beautiful waffle dial. It's got a little bit of a faux patina orange on the indices. It's got a very contemporary 6 o'clock marker. And it's also have a blue second hand, a small second hand. What else does it have? 42 millimeters in dimension. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it was like the most gorgeous watch ever. But being that it was my first time ever stepping foot into a Panerai boutique, I didn't pull the trigger on it. It also was like, $9,000, $10,000. And so I was like, do you still got that watch? And she's like, no, I know the exact one you're talking about, and it was discontinued this year. I was like, how come every watch I like gets discontinued, man? But anyways, we walked around. She asked me what I was wearing, and I had the Tudor Prince Chrono 79260 on. And she's like, oh, is that like the 42 millimeter? And I was like, it's 40 millimeters. She's like, okay, maybe you might like the Luminor Quaranta. I don't want to butcher this name, but I probably am. Quaranta? I don't know, but it's like the base model Luminor is 40 millimeters, wears absolutely amazing. She had it on the leather strap, which I would have much preferred it on the rubber, but it still wore really great. As you can see here, I took a video of it. Wears absolutely amazing. It's an absolute dream, and definitely compared to the Panerais I knew by memory, which were all very chunky, 44 millimeters, like 15 millimeters thick. This was a very surprisingly slim profile. I think it sat at only like 12.5 millimeters high, which it was an absolute delight. And my girl was walking around, she saw this baby green. Okay, so Panerai had this collection that they just launched in 2024. It's called the Pastel Line. And it consists of 3 colors. You got the baby blue, lavender, you got like a very pastel-y pink, and you also have a very pastel green, which I like to call the pistachio, unless it's like a very deep green, which I call a matcha. I call this one like a pistachio. I don't know, it's just like an opt-out thing. But she really liked the pistachio one. So we asked the sales manager to bring it out. My girl tried it on. She actually really liked it, which was an absolute delight to me because my girl up to this point has never worn watches. Like she's never had anything on her wrist except for a bracelet. So I don't know, maybe this will cultivate her interest in getting into watches despite it being such an expensive hobby. And also it adds an item for me to add onto the wish list if I ever want to get her something really big. The watch retails at 10,000 Canadian dollars, which for Panerai it is quite pricey, but I have noticed Panerai's secondary market prices has been recovering these last couple of years. I know before, when I first started out in the hobby in 2018, 2019, people were talking about like, oh, the Panerai market's so soft. One of my favorite YouTubers, you guys probably know who it is, he had a very infamous video where he stood outside of the Melbourne, it was in Melbourne, I don't really know Australia geographics like that, but he stood outside of a boutique. He started talking about how dead the brand is, all this type of stuff. With that being said though, I have checked prices recently, and the models that came out in 2001 to 2005, yeah, they're still trading at about like 4,005 to 4,008 Canadian dollars. The more recent ones, I'm talking about like the 3-4 year recent ones, right? Like the ones launched after 2020, they have been retaining prices pretty well. And although it's not like you buy something for 10K, you get like, I don't know, 10K of it back. Like no brands do that except for Rolex. But compared to Tudor, compared to Breitling, compared to Omegas, well definitely Omega's a completely different topic for me to address in a separate video, but I'm looking at like the GMT, for example, right? The 1535, it was retailing for 10,000, I believe, and right now it's trading for about like 7,500 to like $8,000, which in the regard of watches is holding up value very, very well. So to me, it doesn't seem like Panerai is as terminal and as toxic sludge, to quote a certain person, as it used to be like 5 to 7 years ago, which is music to my ears because now it's like, whoa, like me aside, right? I know there's a lot of Panerais out there, and by the way, I'm pretty new to Panerai as a brand, so if I'm saying anything wrong, you guys have any comments or feedback, please let me know in the comments. I take all criticisms, but it's great for the community because people are able to get into the watches that Panerai is releasing year after year again. Like if you see something cool that Panerai releases in 2025, Watches and Wonder, you're not gonna be like, okay, if I buy this watch for 10K, I'm gonna lose 5K in like 2 months. Like that doesn't seem to be happening, which is great. And I'll just come back from the tangent. I was talking about the Pistachio Luminor Dew, which she really loved, and it was a great experience because the sales manager, Sana, she also brought out 2 separate straps for us. She told us that with all the brand new Panerai purchases, you get 2 straps, you get 1 complimentary, and you also get 8-year warranty, which is, what did she say exactly? The best in the game? The best in the industry or something like that. But yeah, it's great to see Panerai really stepping up in the last couple of years. From my exposure to the brand, they have great marketing, they have really great characteristic and personality in their watches, and it seems like they've just been staying due course and extraordinarily rich in their history, and also coming up with a couple of spin-offs. I want to say they're more experimental, kind of like the Luminor Dew line, which some people think is just lazy that they made the water resistance so low. But also, I've seen a couple of girls that have been rocking Panerai Dews. And it makes me think, hey, maybe this is like touching the demographic that they really wanted to reach all the time, because a girl wearing a Panerai, that's like crazy Panerai territory. I'm rambling. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Do you have a Panerai in your collection, and are there any specific Panerai models that you will recommend me explore? I'm totally new to the Panerai game, and right now I have a bit of a spark of an interest for Panerai watches. I thought after yesterday, would I add a Panerai to my collection? It's also something that I asked myself after my Breitling Boutique experience event, and I think there's a better chance for me to add a Panerai to my collection right now. Panerai just has such a distinct position in the market. Like if you want that specific silhouette of the case, you can't go anywhere else. You just have to go to Panerai. So I'm definitely gonna do my due diligence and do some homework in the background, find out which models are suiting for me, maybe go try a few on. But with that being said, guys, thank you for watching to the end. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.